All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain a little bit. We're going to look past all the spreadsheets and the sales figures to get to the real engine of commerce, which is, of course, the human mind. We're going to unpack the fascinating psychology of why people actually buy things. And trust me, whether you're building a brand or just want to understand your own choices better, this is essential stuff to know.
So let's just dive right in with a quick question for you. Think about that coffee you grabbed this morning. Why did you pick that specific one? Now, your logical brain might say, well, I like the taste, or it was on the way to work. And sure, maybe. But was that the whole story, or was it something else? Maybe the comfort of that green logo, the whole vibe of the place, or just the feeling it gives you to hold that cup.
You know, most of us really like to think of ourselves as rational shoppers. We think we make smart, logical choices. But the research, it paints a completely different picture. And it comes down to this number, 95%. That's the estimated amount of our purchasing decisions that are made in our subconscious mind. Seriously, just let that sink in for a second. The vast majority of why we buy is driven by feelings, instincts, and urges we're not even consciously aware of.
And that right there brings us to the single most important lesson in modern marketing. If you really want to connect with people, you have to stop trying to sell to their logical brain, the one that's busy comparing features and prices. You have to start talking to that hidden subconscious mind, the one that runs on gut feelings, memories, and intuition.
And here's the secret that every single major brand on the planet absolutely lives by. They know they aren't just selling a product, they're selling a feeling. They're not just selling athletic shoes, they're selling the feeling of victory, of crossing that finish line. They're not just selling a smartphone, they're selling a feeling of connection, creativity, and being part of the in crowd. By focusing on that feeling, they completely bypass our logical defenses and create a direct link to our emotions.
So the big question is, how do we actually navigate this hidden mind? Well, lucky for us, psychologists have basically created a mental map for it. And this map shows two very different routes our brain can take to arrive at a yes. Understanding this map, well, it's fundamental to persuasion.
Now, that map is called the Elaboration Likelihood Model, or ELM for short. Don't worry, you can totally forget the fancy name. What's important here is that this is a super practical way to understand how our brains process every single persuasive message we see, from a big Super Bowl commercial all the way down to a simple pop-up ad on a website. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. On one side, you've got the central route. This is your logical, high-effort brain kicking into gear. It's what you use for big, important decisions, like buying a house or a car. You're going to be reading reviews, comparing specifications, really thinking it through. But for most things, our brains take a shortcut. It's called the peripheral route. This is low effort, and it's where pretty much all advertising lives. It's not about the facts, it's all about the cues. Is the music in the ad catchy? Do I like that celebrity? Does this logo make me feel good? So, if we know that most of the time we're aiming for that fast, intuitive peripheral route, what are the actual tools we can use? Let's get practical. It's time to open up the persuasion toolkit. Inside, there are 3 keys that you'll see used everywhere, every day to influence decisions. And here they are. The big 3 psychological triggers: emotional appeals, social proof, and scarcity. These are the main levers that marketers use to connect with that subconscious peripheral brain. Let's break down each one.
First up, emotion. And honestly, this chart says it all. Study after study finds that ads that rely on pure emotion perform twice as well as ads that just stick to rational arguments. So why the huge difference? Well, because emotion basically acts like a highlighter for our brain. When we feel something, whether it's joy, inspiration, or even a bit of nostalgia, our brain flags that memory as important. It makes the brand unforgettable. It gets filed away not as a product, but as a feeling.
Next on the list is social proof. You see, at our core, we're social creatures. We're pack animals. We just feel safer in a group. So when we see a bestseller sticker, or thousands of 5-star reviews, or even that classic 9 out of 10 dentists recommend, our brain's little risk detector it relaxes. It's a simple mental shortcut. If everybody else is doing it, it must be a safe bet.
And the final key in our toolkit is scarcity. You see this everywhere. Limited time offer, only 2 left in stock. These phrases work so incredibly well because they trigger a powerful bias we all have called loss aversion. Put simply, the fear of missing out on something is a way stronger motivator for our brains than the prospect of gaining something. It creates urgency and pushes us to act right now before the opportunity disappears.
Okay, so it's pretty clear that these tools are powerful, right? And with that kind of power comes a very real responsibility. This means we have to talk about the critical, non-negotiable line between ethical persuasion and outright manipulation.
At the end of the day, the goal should never, ever be to trick someone into buying something they don't need. That's a short-term game, and you'll always lose in the long run. The real goal is to build genuine connection and trust. Great, ethical marketing uses this psychological understanding to help people find solutions they are already looking for. It's all about speaking their mental language to genuinely help them solve a problem.
So, to wrap this all up, let's turn the lens back on you one last time. Think about the very last thing you bought. Could be anything at all. Now be honest with yourself. Was it a purely logical central route decision that you mapped out on a spreadsheet? Or maybe, did a clever emotional appeal, a little bit of social proof, or that nagging sense of urgency help nudge you across the finish line? Because truly understanding your own behavior, that's the first step to understanding everyone else's.